Hi, friends. Thanks for watching. I just wanted to do a little video about um, current, like what it's like to be a pedestrian where it's where the majority of people drive. And I've experienced this challenge to be more difficult in like the inland Northwest and the Midwest. Um, so I grew up in New York City, and so when you have like 30 other people crossing the street from both sides of the street, it's just easier to walk, and drivers just cannot drive through 40 people like they can intimidate and bully one person, which is par for the course. And it's interesting because the mentality, it's so weird because most people these days believe in the whole global warming, climate change narrative. They are into the mainstream narrative, but they drive and they do all the things that are that are antithetical to their belief. Um, cars, driving, planes, uh, you know, things that require a lot of expense. And I won't go into that, but um, and it's so the thing is, and because people are so spread so thin, and they're so distracted with their phones, and they're probably so much more immune compromised because of electromagnetics in our environment, just the cell phone towers, the 5G, the smartphones always on and on our body. So and people's attention is so compromised due to the addiction to the light and the phones and the information and whatnot. So people are there's a term called digital dementia, and I have found that drivers are just like incredibly disrespectful, and it's like um everybody's pointing a gun at you when you're trying to cross the street as a pedestrian. And drivers think it's okay. Drivers think it's kind of funny. Drivers think that a pedestrian trying to cross the street is a nuisance. And it's so weird because these same people are like, talking about climate change and global warming and all this stuff. It's incredible hypocrisy. And so I follow the lights. So if it's not my light, I let the car, I follow traffic rules because I don't want to get run over by a car who's justified in their right of way. Even if I'm in the street, I don't expect a driver to be watching. And I have had this experience with all demographics, all races, all genders, where people are actually turning their back as they're driving in front of me. Like literally, I've had drivers like turn their back when it's my light and I'm trying to cross, and I'm like, "Hey," and they just are turning their back as they're like. So I mean, another guy was yelling at me for crossing the street where it was a major pedestrian area. And the thing is, I know drivers are like always on driver's sides. And it's just, and maybe if I was a driver, I would not care about pedestrians as well. And it's weird. Like I've been in a car where somebody's daughter had gone to prison, was an addict, an alcoholic, and this sober lady, grandmother of five, um, was just like absentmindedly driving on the sidewalk, and just thought it was kind of cute, you know. And one of the reasons why, and I just talked to a friend who also just thinks that it's kind of silly for me to expect to be able to walk on the sidewalk, um, expecting drivers to let me walk on the sidewalk, uh, at the driveways. So, just the mentality is just incredibly distressing. Uh, and something that is so strange. So yesterday I was crossing a street, and a driver was able to see me, and I was going from the sidewalk to cross the street to get to another sidewalk. And so what drivers do is they slow down. So but they're not stopping. They won't stop. And then as you're crossing, they speed up. Can somebody explain to me why that happens? Like, why, when you are step off the curb, they speed up towards you? Like like, I don't know if they're drunk. I don't know if they're out of their minds. I don't know if they're absent-mindedly driving at me. I don't know if they're on their phone. I can't see them. I can't read their mind. And, and I looked this up online, and I have read how many people have had this experience where they're on the street at their light, and a driver speeds up at them, towards them. Can somebody explain to me why drivers do this? Like, why do drivers speed up towards you when the driver is supposed to stop and let you just and the thing is, what my friends, what like will say to justify it, try to justify it. I have had this happen to me where I have been waiting, there's no other traffic, there's a police car, and I am waiting for my light to cross. Nothing has happened the past 5 minutes. Twice this has happened. So I get my light, and the police car hurries up as I'm stepping off the curb, hurries up to make its turn at me. Twice this has happened. Police, where they had nothing to do for 5 minutes. And this is what this is what pedestrians have to deal with. And drivers think it's so silly, and drivers think that pedestrians are just asking too much to be able to cross the street safely. And there are some drivers that actually let a pedestrian cross the street safely. There are a few drivers that will actually wait their turn. And it's so interesting because there's this big anti-gun thing where, and the very same people, the very same hypocrites that drive a car, that have multiple cars in their family, that do all sorts of carbon compromising crap, but they're pushing the Biden agenda and all this communism. These same people, uh, these people who are the communist liberal, anti-human. There shouldn't be cars. Humans are cancer polluting on the planet, but they drive. These liberals are doing the driving, and they're the biggest culprits. They're also anti-gun, right? Because they think that guns kill people. The thing is, it's drivers that kill people. And these people are basically driving death traps that who if a car hits a person or a bicyclist, who is the culprit? Who's the person who's going to die? And I know that there's some pedestrians and bicyclists who seem to have a death wish. I have seen it happen where the light has changed. It says stop, and the pedestrian goes, you know what? Yeah, there's some crazy people. There's some people who just don't care. And I'm sorry, but that is no excuse for drivers to cut people who are crossing at the light off when it's their light. It's just no excuse. And yet the mentality, the hypocrisy, it's just so upsetting. And the thing is, the driver is maneuvering a deadly weapon. That's the fact. And there's like no morality. There's no moral compass in driving today amongst the best people that there are that's driving. And there's just no conscience, and it's just so upsetting. And it's like, what kind of defense does a pedestrian have when you're trying to cross the street and it's your light and drivers are bullying you? And that's really what happens, because when there's a 1-ton vehicle that is ignoring your right of way, is bullying you on the street, like what is a pedestrian's right? I mean, do I get to wave a gun at them? Do I get to throw a bomb at them, or threaten to throw a bomb? Because that's what those drivers are doing to me. They're threatening me with their car just because they want to save that extra 3 seconds, allowing me to cross. And this is what the world's come to, like, where you drivers won't let a pedestrian cross when it's their light. That's all we want. We just want when it's our light. And if you don't know that it's our light, it seems like a lot of drivers don't even know that pedestrians get to cross the street. I have had friends that explain to me that they don't realize pedestrians are there. I have had people tell me they don't see pedestrians at the corner. I have had friends who are surprised that somebody's walking across the street. Literally, like, we have human beings behind the wheel of a dangerous device that don't uh, realize pedestrians exist. They don't realize that pedestrians want to cross the street. And and these same people are not prepared to stop their vehicle to allow a pedestrian to cross. Drivers nowadays think only drivers are the legitimate traffic. Like, and this was happening, years before the current madness going on. And humanity is lost when the prototype of human, the bipedal humanoid, is not allowed, is not regarded as a legitimate entity to make progress in the world. And I have found this to be the case in more, like San Francisco and New York. You're okay. You get to, because there's just a mass of people, a mass of other pedestrians. But Oregon, like Portland, especially the suburbs, uh, Virginia, I was in there, Montana, and I'm in South Dakota right now. And yeah, it's just like, if you're walking, you are garbage. If you're walking, you're a piece of trash that gets to be driven over. And police don't care. Police think it's kind of funny. They think it's inconsequential. And uh it's a sign of the times. It's heart's grown cold that somebody's gonna sit and watch a save the kittens video, or save an elephant video, or save a forest video. Like those same people driving their cars, pushing this communist agenda, save the environment. But the one part of the environment, a human being that's walking on their feet, that is the least carbon taxing entity, you won't stop. You won't allow them to cross the street. And I'm not saying when somebody is doing something crazy, okay, go kill them, right? Because that's what you think you're right. You have a right to do, you know. But don't, like, bully somebody when it's their turn to cross the street. And if you don't know what the rules of the road are, what the rules to allow pedestrians to cross are, you need to learn, or give up your license. Or, oh no, I'm a crazy maniac that doesn't allow other human beings to cross the street. You won't allow somebody on their feet to cross the street. Those are the only people, you know, that that don't have the right to exist, basically. Only people in cars have a right to exist. That's what I have found to be the case. And it's like the same people that are that seems to be the majority of people. Uh, um, like they're pushing this anti-human, Earth first agenda, and yet they won't let you cross the street as a human being. I mean, if a deer crossed the street, they would stop. But if a human crossed the street, no, no, they're used to, I don't know, the fantasies of killing all human beings or something. I don't get it. It's very, as you can see, it's very upsetting. It's dehumanizing. And the thing is, like, I mean, I just, oh, what planet am I on? This is just par for the course. And I'm sure that there's like probably two people in the world that think I have a point. Um, I just don't. It's just horrible. And drivers, I God help you. So, anyways, thanks for listening.